What is going on, YouTube? We are back past the Prop Monday edition. We got the coming around, recapping week 2, obviously talking about, maybe some fantasy football stuff in here as well. And obviously, having our best bets here for Monday Night Football. Joined as always by my guy, Stu. What's good, man?
Yeah, nothing much. Pretty solid week. Obviously, like I said last show, it's always fun to have week 2, no matter what happens, whether you win, whether you lose. You see a lot of funny shit. You learn a lot of new stuff. And obviously, I think we're now better prepared for week 3. So a lot of good stuff. My Commanders got the dub. That was obviously huge for me. That kind of mentally shifted how I was looking at the week because, hey, in the first quarter, I was getting pretty down in that game. But we bounced back in the second half. Good end to the day. And, yeah, I'm excited to keep it going on Monday.
Yeah, have life in all my fantasy matchups this week. We got 3 fantasy games going. One of them already locked up. I got that one pretty much in the bag there. And then one of them I'm up like 45 points. I have Chris Olave. They have Deshaun Watson, Njoku, and Najee, I think. So I should be okay. 45 is a pretty big price tag to get there. So hopefully we can hold on. Last week I was a little nervous, only won by 0.9 because the Jets returned that for a touchdown. That was huge. Obviously didn't have to deal with any more there. But, I guess we could just kind of recap the week. We got 12 of you guys in here first couple minutes. I'll let you guys trickle in here as well. We can kind of just talk about a couple things that stood out to us. We'll do one thing that stood out to you here, Stu, before we recap week 2 Sunday plays and then go on into obviously going into some Monday night stuff.
Say that again. One thing surprised me this week.
Sure. We can do surprise or we can do one thing that stood out to you. We'll do one of each throughout, but I'll let you take whatever you want.
Yeah, interesting. I guess one thing that stood out to me too, I was watching that Raiders-Bills game and the Bills are back, baby. That instantly stood out. I mean, we kind of said it on the show. It's not like the Raiders were some tough task, but I just wanted to see exactly what we thought it would be, which is the Bills continuously throwing the ball. Their offense looked revitalized. Like we said, they didn't kind of, cave in at the end of the game. They kept on moving right there. And they look like the team we expected them to look like in week 1. I know it's the Raiders. A lot of people are obviously going to be very angry and, still think, oh, maybe it's not. Maybe we're overreacting now. But I saw everything I need to see. Josh Allen looked good. That Bills team was very strong. Another thing that stood out, the Rams, baby. Rams are playing real good football right now. This is going to be one of my favorite teams to watch and bet on. I kind of talked about it on the show last time. We both brought up that, hey, I like the Rams, but the 49ers is a really, really tough matchup. Well, they looked really good in a really tough matchup. Now they get a struggling Bengals team next week. That's going to be an extremely fun game to watch. A lot of good stuff in week 2.
Yeah, no, and I'm only going to do one because obviously I'll talk about one right after we go through our recap here, but Houston Texans, baby. They are freaking fantasy viable, baby. I love the Houston Texans. Dude, I overdrafted CJ Stroud in a lot of leagues. I'm very, very happy about that in my best ball leagues. I have that combo, baby. I got Robert Woods and I got Nico Collins, and every single one of those ones I got Stroud. They just, dude, I don't care. It's only been 2 weeks, but man, I feel good where I'm at with my boy Nico. I was way over the field on him. And also Robert Woods, bro. I've drafted both of those dudes way too much. Probably close to 35-40%. And those guys were right up there with my boy Jaden Reed and Musgrave. And Jaden Reed paying off early on those dividends early. Obviously, Christian Watson being out definitely helps. But another 2 touchdowns this week after 2 pretty nice catches, 20-plus yards average per catch in week 1. Starting to look pretty good for these young receivers that no one talks about, man. I'll be happy. I'll sit over here and bet on them when no one else wants to. Everybody wants to bet on the big boys. I'll sit over here. I like being on my island.
Yeah, no, it's been fun so far. Honestly, if you listen to our futures show, I mean, our best ball takes were kind of killer in that one. I was talking of Addison a lot. I mentioned Kyron Williams is my favorite late round stash. You hated on me for like 10 minutes. You and probably people in the chat were hating on me. This guy sucks. Well, he's carrying all my best ball teams. Unfortunately, I do have him on the same teams that I have Cooper Kupp on because I love those Ram stacks, which is working out pretty well. But I also drafted Tutu over Puka, which has been a solid choice, but maybe not, an A+ choice yet. But hey, I just want to throw that out there. Best ball takes were actually pretty good before the season started. We might have to do a little bit more of that next year.
Yeah, no, I have Puka, I think like six of my 10, not 6 of my, I don't even remember how many I did, them a lot. But I looked at them, and those are the ones doing pretty well, obviously, with the late round pick doing like that. But like I said, I have like Nico was my long shot guy to be there. And also I really like that Jaden Reed look that we talked about on that show too as well. So 30 you guys in here in 6 minutes. Jesus, I love it. I love it. Thank you guys so much for all your support. We hit 1K views first time this year. Looking forward to that not being the only time that happens. And you guys are smashing that like button, which I love. Appreciate all you guys. A lot of new guys coming in, checking out the show. Obviously, the results will be coming here shortly, and we'll let you in on how we're doing. So if you've been tailing the show, hit that like button. You've been making money with us. We'll be recapping everything here. And we'll kind of talk a little bit more about week 2, and then get right on into week 2 Monday Night Football for 2 games, right? I can't even keep track of it. We have 2 Monday night games. They probably only equal 1 because they're both gross as hell, but that's not here nor there. Let's recap here a little bit. Get this one out of the way.
Yeah, we'll get the only loser out of the way early. Dotson, man, 23 yards on like the first drive of the game, and then absolutely nothing after that, even down 21-3. I don't know. If you told me exactly how the game played out and you just didn't tell me the box score, I probably would have bet 100 yards, not 42, especially after that first drive. So tough loss right there, but I still like the play.
Oh, yeah. McLaurin just decided to cook, and I was very surprised. Made a really nice catch on that touchdown. Obviously, he's a stud, so it's not that we were bashing on him, but definitely like that spot for Dotson for sure. Again, guys, how you giving me plus money on this shit, man? Shout out Gabe Davis. Had him again. The book's giving me 20.5 on longest reception. Gabe Davis catches a 19-yarder, an 18-yarder, and then for shits and giggles, let's get a 50, right? So just wild to me, man. They continue to give us that line. Obviously, no one wants to bet on Gabe Davis. It's fucking gross. It is gross betting on Gabe Davis because what he could disappear, man. He really could. But when he appears, it's for 20 yards. And I can't believe they gave me 20.5 again. That was the easiest click I've had of the week, man, because how can you give that 20.5? He just cooked it 26 the week before, and now you're going to give it to me again. That obviously cashed that one and the Allen 225, and then obviously Mahomes. We had to guess that Kelsey was coming in 30 minutes after the show ended. Kelsey was ruled in, which was awesome. And obviously he looked like old Patty there. And Tony was good. Sky Moore, I had Sky Moore 50 yards at plus 290, bro. Nice. They gave me 290 on Sky Moore. I'm like, bro, you just gave it. His straight line last week was 48. And I get it was all Kelsey, but he caught it in one pass, 50-yard touch or 50-yard catch. So it's like, how are you giving these lines? And they switch the recency bias is so quick. We talk about that a lot on here, guys. Week 2, week 3, hopefully week 1, they look like shit, so we can get better lines. Like that's what we like. And you can't have. I mean, there's a couple guys I hate that I will not bet, but you can't just fade a guy just because they hurt you before. You just don't bet on them anymore, but don't fade them, right? Because that's obviously where you kind of get hurt because the market's going to over-adjust as well.
Yeah, no, completely agree. And, yeah, I love the spot right here. And, hey, just a little spoiler for next week. I'm sure one of us is going to be on Gabe Davis' longest reception once again against my Commanders right here who just allowed, Russell Wilson to absolutely torch them downfield.
This is not something I expected to hear today. Over to you for your biggest play of the week.
Yep, biggest play of the weekend over here. Pittman over 1.5 units over 50 receiving yards. We cashed that. We also posted 4.5 receptions over on Twitter for another half unit Sunday morning with a little link to the video and the show, and we cashed that one as well. So good to still be profitable even with that tough Dotson loss right here. Obviously, the 1.5 comes through. Yeah,
no, it was pretty easy. I mean, I was almost nervous he's going to have 10 catches for 49.5 yards for how it was going. I'm like, God damn, dude, this guy is getting peppered. That's how I felt with Kirk. I had Kirk bets this week. He did fantastic for my DK lineup. Yeah, dude. I mean, again, recency bias. Again, all these, right? The week 1 hype train goes through the tubes. Hey, bet on him again. Just not Joe Burrow because the dude buns. So let's get to my other one. hey, I'm gonna sit there. I'm gonna sit there on my island again, boys. I don't remember the guy who was in here, memorabilia something, who was talking smack on my play there. Who cares if he catches one for 27? Well, I do. I got money in my pocket because he didn't do it. He only had a 15-yarder as his longest catch. Didn't even have an opportunity, really. He was doing Bill Belichick do what Bill Belichick do, baby. We love it. We love it. Great tackling by Miami. By New England, never let Tyreek really get into any space, right? Kind of talked about Waddle being that guy, and before he got hurt, he was. He ended up with being the leading receiver. Dude, threw my boy in. I'm really pissed I didn't play River Craycraft on his own because I had him in a same game parlay like 30 plus 35,000 with him at 25 yards. It was 25 yards for like plus 350. It was wild because they just don't expect him to do anything. That was a fun one as well. But yeah, dude, I really wasn't expecting to like not sweat through one full shirt, like I was expecting to have to get to a second shirt by second half, because I'd be sweating on Tyreek. But shout out Bill doing his thing.
Yeah, this has got to be like the biggest no sweat on like a scary prop I've ever played, right? I mean, this is one of those that we kind of knew, right? When you were up here talking about it, like people are going to kind of gravitate away from it because it's a star player that just put up 240 yards in the last game, right? The whole world obviously wants to bet on a guy like that, but this was like, you never felt like he was going to hit this during the game, which is insane. And obviously hats off to you for a good call on that one, because it does not happen like that very often. So glad we got that in. I said after the show, any prop that PPS gives that you think like, what? Like, really? That's what we're doing? Those are the ones I tail the hardest because I know those are the value spots. So love this play right here. Glad we catched on it.
Yeah, man. Hey, when you dig down that DGen rabbit hole, baby, you find some gems, right? So shout out Tyreek for, 5 catches, 40 yards. I was hoping you got 6 for you for 60. Just keep it around there. But I ain't going to fade him again against anybody else. So Bill Belichick's got that guy under wraps. So shout out Tua as well. 5 in a row against Billy B, man. Damn, you don't see that very often. So shout out to Tua, big game for him last night. Big props there. So let's get to our long shots. I think Jacobs had how much receiving? I swear all of his points were receiving.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprising week. I thought they would lean more on the run with no Jacoby Myers. I mean, 340, in my opinion, was a great number. Jacobs had 100 rush yards, like 10 of 16 last year, So it's one of those spots where he's just not looked super efficient on the ground so far. Maybe that's an O-line problem that we need to take a little bit more seriously. Even though I did see them get some kind of high O-line gradings in week 1. But those are always very confusing, right? I saw the Bears also graded out okay. I was like, I don't understand. And obviously when you have 40 different websites grading O-line and some tell you the Raiders are good, some don't, it's like, I don't know. We'll have to look a little bit more into that. But for now, I'm probably pausing my Josh Jacobs exposure because back-to-back weeks in DFS, super low owned. I think it's going to be sneaky. We'll get some Josh Jacobs in there and nothing so far.
Yeah, no, and it's weird though because he usually has like those explosive runs throughout games, but there was just no holes there. So shout out the Bills, made them look really bad. I mean, and we were talking about it how the Bills pass when they're up and Vegas runs when they're down, and they still did like they didn't abandon it. That was the weirdest part. I'm like, you're not getting any yards, you're running straight into somebody's back, and yet you do it 2 out of every 5 plays. It was just really weird, but good stat by you bringing that up there. And I might need to buy a jersey, bro. We might need to buy a jersey of my boy Nico. I think he provided like 8 units for me this week because I just went all in on the guy. I went at his straight line at 50. Obviously I got the 75. I bet on him at 90 and 100. That was as high as they would let me go at plus 580 at the 100 there. So, dude, everything he caught was 20 plus yards. We talk about air yards, how important they are. Obviously, Indianapolis might be a team we got to target for those because, my God, CJ Stroud looked awesome, just cooking down the field, was putting catchable balls out there. Nico, obviously, fantastic after the catch. Shout out to you, Nico Collins. You are going to be I'm starting you from now on doesn't even matter. CJ Stroud, your shoulder hurt, and yet you can throw the ball 40 yards down the field. Hey, if my shoulder doesn't feel like that, I might be benching like 600, bro. If my shoulder hurts and I can just say, hey, I can throw the ball 50 yards on the field. Right? Shout out to CJ Stroud for getting through that injury. But my God, dude. I love having that exposure in best ball. It makes me feel so much better that nobody else can get on that hype train because I got them in over half of them, and I'm going to be rolling with them till the wheels fall off, baby.
Yeah, no, obviously I'm one of those guys. I'm very glad that I got in the later rounds of my fantasy draft, kind of borderline. He's week 1, you're like the Texans, both back-to-back low totals. Like, it's hard to start a guy like Collins, but he has clearly proven that he is a must start now, especially like you said, Stroud is looking very good out there, which is good for the league in general.
Yeah, because, obviously we'll talk about Bryce Young, another young quarterback there as well, but man, dude, we talked about this pre-show on Wednesday because we were talking about DFS lineups and all that stuff, and somebody beat me. I had one of my good lineups. I had 2 lineups I made this week. One of them I had a mini stack in that Houston game because I knew no one was going to play it. If Anthony Richardson doesn't go down, we would have had some life because I had Richardson ran back with Nico Collins. It would have worked perfectly, but hopefully Anthony gets healthy soon. I know he's probably listening to Pass the Prop, so hopefully prayers up to you, my guy. But yeah, dude, I hope that isn't too bad. Obviously, he slammed his head pretty hard on that one.
Yeah, that was tough. That 8.5 rush attempts, I was counting the money already after that start. It's such an awesome start. And then, see him go down. It's just bad in general for the game, fantasy, all that stuff, right? Anthony Richardson is clearly going to be a super fun player this year. So hopefully he gets back as soon as possible. Hopefully he's healthy and ready to go for week 3.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for, man. That's all you can ask for. Obviously, taking some hard hits early on. So, we're rolling here. Really like seeing this number to start out the year, guys. 9-4, 6.3 units profit just on the show here. And like I said, we appreciate all you guys tuning in and a lot of new faces. 50 of you guys in here in the first prior to 20 minutes. So thank you guys so much. And the sport does we notice it. Thank you guys for popping in here. 3 times a week, man. 3 times a week, and we really appreciate it. So, Stu, is there anything you want to talk about else from week 2? Anything fantasy you want to talk about? Anything like that before we get it rolling here?
I mean, I want to talk about the Commanders again. We deserve some respect, guys. No one's talking about us. Everyone in the world is talking about the fucking Giants comeback against a team that is actively not trying to win games, right? They came back against a team that was trying to lose, right? And my team comes back against one of the best defenses in the league with a rookie quarterback that threw the ball like 50 times and was awesome in the second half. And nobody's talking about it. We had a better comeback than they did. They got more points, sure, but we went against a real team that was shutting people out in prime time last season. I mean, that defense is legit. Everybody knows it. And we just kicked their ass. And no one is going to talk about Sam Howell. No one's going to give us any credit this week. We're going to talk about fucking Daniel Jones. Come on. That's all I got.
Yeah, I won't go homer on you guys in that spot, but I want to talk about my boy, the guy from last year. Everybody wants to talk shit on him. Go Geno, baby. Show out, young fella. It don't matter, man. That guy goes out there, puts on a clinic again. We talked about that one being a shootout. That was the one DFS lineup that I thought had some life heading into the later games because ran it back. I had Goff, Laporta, run it back on DK there. It was good. And we cashed Laporta 3.5 catches. Never going to see that at plus money again. Yeah. But, man, how I looked at it, I'm like, this is just why is this there? And it was wild. I think DK would have absolutely cooked if he would have just stayed in the game for the whole time. Obviously, he had his little rib issue there for like most of the second quarter. But yeah, really, really nice to see that they can still do shootouts, man. They don't just commit to the run. When they're down, they're going to just keep chucking it. And I really like to see that. Obviously, Kenneth Walker did great. And could that be the unleash Jahmyr Gibbs now? We got David Montgomery with that thigh injury. Could we see what the Lions want to do here? Could they give him a 20-touch game and see what happens? Because Bijan Robinson, man, he's showing out already. He's doing what he's doing. And the Packers defense ain't no joke, man. They're good. That front seven is nice. And shout out Desmond Ridder, man. Shout out him that he played great. What's that face for? He looked good, dude.
No, he didn't. Desmond Ritter.
Rushing? I'm only talking about rushing, bro. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't care about passing.
But he's not a mobile quarterback, and he can't throw the ball. So sure, he had a couple good designed run attempts, but every time
he looked good at. Dude, I'm talking about the end of that game when it came down to he had to make plays against that defense. Man, that's a top 5 defense in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Yeah,
if you're gonna hype the Broncos as hard as you just hyped the Broncos, and you're gonna not talk about the Packers being, come on, man.
Well, we don't know. We know the Broncos are good. We don't. We've seen a pretty small sample, right? And you did just let a terrible quarterback beat you, right? So maybe that does say something about you because I don't know.
I mean, you're missing the top 2 weapons on the team, bro. Like,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
That's fair. I didn't come here to hate on the Packers. I came here to hate on Desmond Ritter. Like yeah.
Well, you also hate Desmond Ritter though. Like it's different.
He won me so much money for Cincinnati. That's like my first ever amazing call. Is that Cincinnati year where they were the first, non-Power 5 school? That was like my best call ever. Probably ever will be, right? In writing, especially with like full analysis and all that. But he's not like a great NFL quarterback. He doesn't read defense as well in the red zone.
He doesn't have to. He doesn't. They don't even put him in situations where he has to. Like he sees one guy, he's like, "Oh shit, we're gonna run."
Well,
that really works for this team because you only have to look at Drake London, who was open across the middle on half these. Then don't even get me started on Kyle Pitts. I have him in too many. I don't even want to talk. Actually, let's get the fuck out of the game. I'm pissed now because I had to think about Kyle Pitts and how I drafted him in best ball, and the dude is a fucking bum. Oh my god, bro! He was so much bigger, faster than anybody guarding him on the Packers, and he still got one catch. One catch. Come on, Arthur. Come on, man. Come on, give him the ball. The dude's a beast.
The last thing I'll say, I mean, do you see his ADOT in week 1 was like 16.7? Like they were using him like a fucking downfield wide receiver. Like let the guy run a couple tight ends. Like he can push over these safeties and linebackers. He's just, like you said, bigger and stronger. Why not get him the ball in space and let him make plays? That's what they did in college. And that's why he was like the best tight end prospect we've seen in a while. So yeah,
just trade him, bro. Just trade him. Let me get some fantasy out of it, man. Let's get some fantasy out of it. But yeah, man, Bijan's legit. It's crazy. I didn't think they'd be able to hold on to 2 backs and run both of them and have them both be fantasy viable, man. But man, he's a stud, man. Those routes are crazy. Those outside routes were nuts, dude. He was in those big situations. Ritter looked to the left. He knew he was going over here to Bijan, and he always open. And obviously, Campbell ain't a great cover linebacker. As a Packer fan, I know that. But still, I mean, in a pressure situation, 3rd down, you got to make a play. You're not bringing in Algier. It's Bijan. We're finding a way to get the ball in his hands, So shout out him, obviously, showing why he had to be a first-round pick, which was unprecedented, really.
Yeah, and just to cap it off, next year, Bijan Robinson in fantasy will be the number 1 overall pick. Yeah, consensus number 1 overall pick. That's my prediction. Pretty easily. I don't think it'll even be a huge debate about it. I think he'll be the number 1 pick next year.
Yeah, hopefully, Mr. Algier just says, "Hey, I'll take 5 carries a game. We're good with that. Hey, just put me as a slot receiver or something. I just want more carries to Bijan. Dude's electric every time he touches the ball." But let's take a look at the chat, guys. Big turnover. We're going right to Monday Night Football, talking about the games now. 20 minutes in, 55 of you guys in here. Hit that like button if you could. We appreciate you. Steve popping in. First guy, dude. Yeah, you're first in here twice in a row, man. Locking in that number 1 spot, Terrence. Hey, Nico time, baby. We'd love to see it. Nico Collins is a dog, baby. Let's go. What's going on, my man? We got Cashville Rican. Happy Monday. Hope you guys are all doing well. Hopefully work isn't treating you too badly. Hopefully you ain't got too many emails, man. Hopefully you're ready to roll here. Yeah, Shane talking about that was, I think, when I talked about Tua having 5 straight wins, man. So that's yeah, you don't see it. I don't know if anybody's ever beat Belichick 5 in a row. Nico, breakout, baby. Hey, let's hope CJ Stroud continues to do it and stays healthy. Hopefully it's good there. Bijan in 2 leagues. Hey, you probably are sitting pretty, man, scoring a lot of points. Brian in here as well. I guess we can get right into it. We got a couple questions already. We got Steve talking about Adam Thielen. Yeah. I know this is kind of gross to talk about after the first week, but again, this is that recency bias. If he had 5 catches last week, probably 3.5 at juice. So you have any thoughts on this one? I know really low ADOT, right, from Bryce Young in first week. Could see it again, and maybe the receptions are the way to go, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I would like all these kind of low A-dot receivers, like you said, Thielen. Hurst is the guy that popped last week. I mean, he's just not throwing down the field. I'm going to get into some similar analysis when I talk about my play, but I agree. This is a very small line. And even I noticed Terrence Marshall Jr. is 7.5 receiving yards after running the most routes last week. And I know we get DJ Chark back on the outside, but he still should split some time on the inside as well. So both of those wide receivers kind of stuck out to me as really low numbers.
Yeah, dude, I don't know what they know that I don't.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
7.5 yards is kind of wild. Like,
Yeah.
maybe in that Cleveland game where weather might be an issue, maybe, but I don't think there's supposed to be too much of anything here that would scare me off of that, which is scary to say. I don't think it's supposed to be any weather issues in Carolina. But yeah, obviously, we're talking about these two games here. Hayden Hurst obviously involved pretty heavily week one, right? So, you have any thoughts on Hayden Hurst in this game? I mean, the spread obviously sitting at 3. Panthers being dogs there. Really low total in both of these games, right? 38 and 39. So could we see those short passes and Hayden Hurst being the guy there?
I think so. He was the guy last week. I live bet him at halftime last week, and we ended up cashing despite the fact that he didn't get like any catches until the very last drive of the game. My biggest problem is I would just not be hunting for too much offense in either of these games, especially that game, though. I mean, I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, but slow pace. I don't anticipate, a lot of high volume opportunities. I think Hayden Hurst is going to give you that classic 4 for 35 or 5 for 41, which is good. And if you want him in the prop game, I would not hate on that at all. He's the safety blanket. He's that easy check down option, especially because Miles Sanders is still kind of iffy as a receiving back. We don't really know if we want to trust that yet. So he's the clear check down option right there. Nothing bad to say about Hayden Hurst tonight, but also he's not going to give you like 70 yards. I'm not playing any alt lines on Hayden Hurst.
No, not at all. Yeah, I mean, I thought you talked about it pretty well there, obviously with the ADOT and stuff. Not a great yards after the catch guy. Obviously, you don't expect that from too many tight ends. Maybe Kyle Pitts, but hey, it won't go down that road anymore talking about that guy. So what I will say is yeah, under 40 totals in both of these. And before we get started, I want to kind of break down a little bit these games. I guess, Stu, we got 8 sides, right? We got the total over under. We got spreads on both sides. Which one? Which one are you going to? Which one are you not even say confident in, but which one would you rank as the one that catches your eye the most from either game?
I'll say Saints -3. When we go to the other game, I'm low on both teams, so it's kind of hard for me to choose. Like, I don't really believe in either of the teams, but I can acknowledge that the Browns are clearly kind of the better team right now, the more well-rounded team. But also Pittsburgh, I think, is probably a little undervalued after getting stomped out last week. So it's really hard for me to pick a winner when I don't particularly like either team. But on the other side, we talked about the Saints before the season. This is a pretty strong team. And I talked about how much I dislike the Panthers, right? I thought that under 7.5 number was very free and almost like a mistake at a certain point, especially after we got to see them struggle in preseason. So for me, I think the Saints are more than a field goal better than this Panthers team. I think we're going to see a lot of growing pains with the Panthers. And yeah, I feel pretty good about the Saints in that one.
Yeah, dude, I think mine might be the Browns. I think it might be. I don't think it's great value. I thought it'd be a little closer, but -130 on the straight money line there. It's only 18 cents difference from -2. So why not just take the 12 cents extra and, just go and play the money line there? It's just, if it is going to be as like weather concerned as I've been reading that it's supposed to not be very nice, who is probably the team most built for that, right? It probably would be the Browns to just straight run it down your throat the entire game. You don't have your number one receiver. I think that's why this is even staying closer. Still, like, even if he was there, I think he would just be running wind sprints anyway, because all they want to do is just run the ball. We saw Pierre Strong run the ball 15 times, bro. 15 times. I didn't even think he touched the ball 15 times in 4 weeks, right? I didn't even think that was even close there. But I'm really excited to watch this team just run the ball for 25 minutes of the first half. And this game take about an hour and a half to finish. So I definitely think this Browns team is built for that. That's why not many teams probably want to see them in the playoffs if it's in like a snowy environment, because these are the types of teams that are smash mouth, probably want to throw the ball 25 times, and just hit you in the mouth as many times as you can. And I know that Pittsburgh's got a decent front seven, but the Cam Hayward news, everybody talking about that, that's huge. And I don't know, dude, it's tough without Deontay there, man. It's tough. It's tough for me to want to back them without Deontay. Obviously, Najee Harris didn't do much first week. I still like him. He's on my fantasy team in one of my leagues. But it's still a tough matchup here. I really think this Browns defense is not bad. I actually kind of like them watching them last week. So think that they could have their hands full today.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, Joe Burrow historically has been very good against those single high safety looks in his career. And last week, the Browns were like, fuck it. We're going to play single high, and we're going to put our cornerbacks on your really good wide receivers. And it worked really well. And I was, a little surprised they went with such an aggressive strategy, but that's kind of what Schwartz is known for over there. They continued in week one. I expect that strategy to probably work even better in this matchup, especially kind of lacking your true number one. Now it's a guy like Pickens, who I don't necessarily trust quite yet with a lack of an evolved route tree, right? Good contested catch wide receiver. But I mean, look at the routes he's running. We talked all off season, maybe he's suddenly going to do all these other things that he's never done before. And he's not. He's still running straight downfield. So you can take that up with the OC. Don't get mad at me. I'm just the messenger, right? But I don't really trust him. I will be trusting one of these shitty Steelers wide receivers. I haven't decided which one, but you can guarantee that Allen Robinson or Calvin Austin is going to be by the end of the day.
Calvin Austin will be finding his way. I have him in every – dude, he was my last pick in every best ball. He was my most exposed player because he was the last round pick in every single one. I'm like, how many times are these guys going to get injured before I just actually pick the guy that's actually got some raw talent off the bench, So, but I love to see Calvin Austin do there, dude, just go off today.
Yeah, just as a warning, though, for anyone that maybe hasn't watched him play, he does have that kind of almost like thing that'll kill you that like Kadarius Toney has, where he could get like a 30-yard rush, and maybe you're looking down and you think that's a reception that cashes your bet, but like they use him in a lot of creative ways. They get him involved behind the line of scrimmage. I don't know what his ADOT is, but I think it was like 2 or something super, super low like that. So just a little bit of a warning, like you could get crushed internally if he has a 30-yard rush and you're sitting there on 25 and a half receiving yards. I just want to put that out there in the universe.
Yeah, and he's going to touch the ball 3 times, and you use up one of them on a 30-yard run. Oh, that would suck so bad. And you're not going to get a rushing receiving line on Calvin Austin either, so it's like just gross. All right, guys. Stu, we hit 70 live viewers right now. We got 70 of you guys in here. Again, hit that like button. We're about 20 likes. Let's get that thing up to like 30. Let's get 30 here, and we'll get to those questions. I'm seeing a lot of those questions in there, but I know what you guys came for. You guys came for some picks, looking to improve on that 9-4 record. Stu, take us away here. Start us off.
Yeah, we're going Bryce Young under 31.5 longest completion, -110 over on DraftKings. And you got to remember, guys, this is like a Colt McCoy-esque number. The lowest I can remember playing a number like this was Colt McCoy last year, under 32.5. So this is a whole point under, which is kind of telling you how the sports books are viewing not only this matchup, but how Bryce Young performed in week one. And I tend to have a lot of agreements. Before the season, I came on here and I said, I'm really worried about that offensive line. And guess what? I was right. That offensive line is not good. They're not giving Bryce Young really much time to throw at all. We saw him blitz pretty often and just get rid of the ball. He threw the ball away more than any rookie I've seen in like week one. He was just chucking it out of bounds, full on like 5th-year Alabama starter game manager type, right? Where you're just getting rid of the ball instantly when you see that pressure. And I mean, let's look at these numbers real quick, right? Last week, 146 passing yards is not impressive, but what really sticks out for this bet, 3.8 yards per attempt, right? That is really, really not good. And you're thinking, okay, maybe that's fluky, right? Maybe that's just kind of Hayden Hurst, Miles Sanders, bringing it up a little bit. Let's look at air yards per attempt. It's only 5.6 air yards per attempt last week. Additionally, he only had 2 completions of 10 air yards or more in all of last week. That was the worst mark in the league, right? This guy is not able to throw it down the field. He's not been given time to throw it down the field. And guess what? Now he's going against the Saints team who has a very strong defense, and they blitzed at the 9th highest rate in week one. And that's against a team with the best running back in the league, right? So you can't blitz as much as maybe you want to in those situations, but they still blitz at the 9th highest rate. I could see them improve on that number. I could see them end up being in the top 5 by the end of this week, just after what we've seen from that offensive line, what we've seen from Bryce Young kind of struggling to get his receivers open, right? And then when we look at the receivers, it's kind of perfect for this, right? Normally, when you get these longest completions, you're scared of the yak, you're scared of the downfield guys. We already talked about the corpse of Adam Thielen, who was one of the bottom 5 least efficient wide receivers in yards per route run last year. He was out there on 99% of routes and producing absolutely nothing. It's not like we've really seen anything to the contrary, right? Adam Thielen is not going to be your worry in this one. Then we got another guy with a super low ADOT in Terrence Marshall. He ran a lot of routes last field, but he only had one target of 10 or more air yards down the field. DJ Chark is probably going to be the guy you're worried about. He's coming in. He's a little bit more of a deep ball wide receiver. But to me, he's got the toughest matchup in the game on the outside against Marshawn Lattimore, right? How do you beat Marshawn Lattimore? It's with these quick, shifty wide receivers. That is not DJ Chark. He wants to muscle you. He wants to bully you. Spoiler alert, you're not going to be able to bully Marshawn Lattimore, especially when you're only playing 15 snaps. He's probably going to be on a pitch count as well. So when we look at these weapons, I'm not worried at all, right? There's nobody really scaring me. Mingo is one of those guys that could be interesting, but he wasn't targeted down the field whatsoever. And that huge, 6'4" tight end-esque frame is going to make it a little bit harder to produce that yak down the field. To me, I don't see any great targets in this game. Bryce Young, like I mentioned, the numbers were very, very bad. The Saints defense is going to get after him fast. I don't think that offensive line is going to hold up. I know this is a weird play. I know you're thinking what? I haven't really played too many longest completions on the underside, but I do think this provides a ton of value with just how safe, strong, and consistent the Saints defense is. They've been a top 10 tackling team each of the last 3 seasons. I don't trust them to, blow a fluky tackle against Adam Thielen. And hey, Bryce Young, just keep on checking it down to Hayden Hurst, buddy.
Yeah, and you look at it. I mean, they don't really have too many guys with crazy yards after the catch numbers, at all, right? Unless it is like your DJ Chark when he's already behind the defense. They're getting an extra 40 yards of yak when there's nobody around, right? So obviously those are more fluky plays. I don't even think you'll have enough time to even allow him to get that far down the field. If he just makes a contested catch, I don't think you're going to see any of them in the air for 30 yards. I think it'd just be a tough spot for this Panthers line. And I love this spot. I do. I really do. I think the Saints defense, they're legit. I don't know if they're like super. I don't know if they're like top 10 legit, because you never know, because they're not playing anybody, man. Like their schedule is so soft, and then they get the Packers next week in Lambeau, which would be I was gonna go for my birthday, but can't. So I was gonna go, but that would have been like a game that lasts about 2 hours, and we're out of there because it's just gonna be so bad. But I digress. Let's get to my play here. We're doing another combo, guys. I've been liking these combo spots because you guys know I ain't gonna play a minus 145. Deshaun Watson rush attempts was minus 145. Just got hit. I don't know who bet it, but it's down to minus 160, which is already not bettable already, right? So did end up hitting that at minus 145. It was at plus 104. You want to grab it right now, it is minus 103. So do really like the spot there as well. Let's just talk about Jamal Williams. We're going to be on Jamal Williams. Rushing plus receiving, 50 over 50. I really like this spot for him. Obviously hit it last week in a really tough matchup. We talk about it all the time. You love taking pass catchers against Tennessee. You hate taking running backs against Tennessee, right? Now, everybody was on Kelly this week, right? Because he's the cheap guy. He's going to get a ton of carries. Didn't do anything with it, right? And I was laughing. That right there is called DFS bad chalk, and you just get away from it. Because you have to break a screen, right, for him to get there. And guess what? Jamal Williams still got there against them, right? He ended up only having 6 yards receiving. I think he obviously has the ability to catch passes there. Obviously, no Kamara. And what did Atlanta just do to these guys, man? They had 2 guys hit this number on just rushing. We didn't even have to look at their receiving. And they both had receiving yards in there as well. So I think, obviously, the volume is always up there for Jamal Williams. He is a guy who will run right between the tackles, does not care. He wants to run through you. 6-7 yards is a win. And I think that this Saints offensive line should be able to give enough holes there to get him up to 50. And even if he doesn't get 50 on the ground like he did last week, we have the option for passing. And I like those dump offs there as well. I just think this is a great price. I mean, they give it to me at under it's like minus 475 as a juice reducer. So you guys know we just try not to play that much juice on the show here. And the guy carrying us is going to be Deshaun Watson at this 4.5 number. Go back to last year. He only missed this one time, and that was against the Saints, obviously a very tough run defense. So that's obviously encouraging. He hit it in the first game as well. If you think the Browns will win, like I do, you have the Neal option. But also, how demoralizing is it going to be when Nick Chubb runs it 8 yards down your throat every single time? You're going to probably want to stop it, right? And maybe send that extra guy in there. That's going to be the one where I expect him to pull it, take those extra runs. We saw him last week. He did fantastic in the run game last week. And I was really surprised there since he's actually done a lot better against the run, at least towards the end of last year. Had 5 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown. Just chunk runs for Deshaun Watson there. And I think he's going to have the ability to do it again tonight. And I said this before, it is demoralizing watching a team just hand it off to a running back and just continually get 5-6 yards a pop, right? So I expect Tomlin to be like, oh, maybe we should probably send another guy and try to get Chubb on the ground. I expect probably about 5 of them where he pulls the ball and does it on his own there. I really like this line. I was surprised to even have it. Like minus 145 is playable for a lot of people. I think that was a straight bet that I would have taken if it was a little bit less juicy. But, man, dude, I love this spot. Obviously running behind one of the best offensive lines in football. We talked about the Cam Hayward injury being as big as it is. I'm sure you've heard that already. I know a lot of people are taking the Nick Chubb angle here, and I love Nick Chubb. Never going to talk anybody off of it. I think that this is it's a sneaky spot, right? Not many people are going to get out there on the rush attempts. And I think that just at plus money, like now being still minus 104, I think it's still a fantastic spot. And I expect Watson to get like 6 or 7 carries, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I like this angle a lot. I think Watson 4.5 rush yards, like I told you before the show, I think this is going to make my card as well. I was looking at this. I didn't know if we were going to do 1 or 2 plays on the show today. I didn't know what my article schedule was quite yet. But yeah, a little bit of spoiler alert. I love this Watson angle. When you look at last week, it says he has 2 designed runs, but you also have to remember he did have 2 more that were ruled sacks because he was taken down behind the line of scrimmage on 2 short yardage plays, right? So you do have to remember how that ruling works. If he does get past the line of scrimmage right there, they convert the 3rd and 1 or whatever, then you actually do get it. Plus the game script, frankly, was just awful for it. You don't need to call up design runs when the game's going the way it was, right? So that's just I think he has a pretty safe floor of probably 3 to 4 design runs alone. And at that point, you're really only depending on 1 or 2 scrambles. Like you mentioned, obviously the goal line aspect of it is very fun as well with a big quarterback like Watson and having all those rushing lanes available with Nick Chubb. When you have the best running back in the league, it opens up so many rushing lanes, right? That's why I was complaining so much about the Colts not signing Jonathan Taylor. It's like, come on, open up a hole for your quarterback to run through, right? It's the same kind of situation here. You have 2 a mobile quarterback, a mobile rusher right here. I love this Watson spot. Plus the last cherry on top is you love the play action for these rushing quarterbacks, right? It gets them out on the outside. It gets them moving. It creates these downfield opportunities, and it lets them rush it in, especially in the red zone. And they ran the 4th most play action with Deshaun Watson last week as well. So I expect that trend to continue. I love Jamal Williams. I was planning on playing his 52.5 rush yards. It got steamed to 58 now. That's kind of the price you pay when you're not on these Monday night lines early. You know, it's unfortunate that way, but I love Williams. He's a bell cow. I don't expect Miller to play. They established the run guys, have him traded as out today, and they've been very accurate from what I've seen so far. So Kendre Miller out. If Kendre Miller is in, by the way, and that somehow lowers Williams' line, then I'm going to go smash Williams' line because they've committed to this kind of bell cow approach. It's how they've been doing it with backups dating back to last year in this new coaching staff. I expect Williams to be a sneaky receiving threat as well. I love his receiving yards. He ran a route on 63% of dropbacks, which would have put him in the top 8 of all running backs last week. And you're thinking Jamal Williams, really the between the tackles running back is running as many routes as most of these receiving backs. But that's how it is when you're a bell cow. You get to play those 3rd downs. You get to be that dump down option. Absolutely love this combo. Love both these guys. They're probably both going to end up on my card in some way or another tonight. So very happy to be tailing the spot right here.
Love it. Now, I just did want to kind of put a little bit more numbers to this Cam Hayward news, man, because still playing it at minus 104. Yes. Still play at minus 104. It's close as even money as we can get. Purdy had 3 rush attempts, right? Purdy is obviously not as mobile as Watson. And McCaffrey just nuked them. Absolutely nuked them once Cam Hayward came off the field last week. We saw him obviously run that 65-yarder in there and just make explosive plays. And just another reason why I think everybody in the world's on Nick Chubb. But when everybody zigs, we like to zag, baby. And that's what, like I said, we like being on those islands, man. We love being on those islands. And I think that this is a spot where we can be on our own over there as well. Let's do a little recap here, Stu. And we were going to get to all of these questions. We got a lot of them to get to. probably about 10 minutes. We got to run through all these questions. Let's just do our quick recap and try to get these in.
Sounds good. Bryce Young, under 31.5 longest completion, -110 on every sports book.
Beautiful. And this is at -104 as well right now. Jamal Williams, over 50 rushing plus receiving yards, and comboing that with Deshaun Watson, over 4.5 rush attempts over on DraftKings on the combo there. We got some questions to get to here, Stu. Let's take it away. All right. Allen Robinson receptions, over 2.5. Juice to the gills, but he had 5 last week, and the books haven't adjusted to his role. Is that a parlay spot you're possibly looking at? Something like that to throw along in little DGen parlay on this double Monday night spot?
No, I mean, I do kind of like Allen Robinson tonight, which is a scary thought. I bet his season-long over last year, and he had like 0 yards all season, which hurts. When you have like $300 on a bet and you're staring at the guy have 0 yards all season, that like kills you. So I did not think I would ever bet on Allen Robinson again, right? But it's a new year, it's a new role. And what I was really impressed by was the slot, right? He was running like 80% of his routes out of the slot, even though I thought that would clearly be what Austin was going to fill in as the kind of, utility guy. Maybe they mixed that around a little bit more this week, but I was intrigued by his ADOT. I was intrigued by how he was getting open. So I do like Allen Robinson this week, and I don't mind that 2.5, especially if he's going to consistently run these routes out of the slot. That's very big.
Yeah, our boy Turbo popping in the chat, bringing in some big money spots. Both teams to punt on first drive, +200 on FanDuel. An interesting take.
Game?
I would assume. I mean, they're both pretty low total, so I don't even know. I would assume this right here is the Cleveland game. I would assume there.
It makes sense. Neither coach is aggressive at all, right? I mean, both of these guys, Tomlin on both sides, Taylor, are both known for not being super aggressive on those 4th downs, which is what you always love. A guy like Mike McDaniel's not cashing this bet for you. He's going for it on 4th and 7 in the first quarter. He doesn't give a fuck. But when you got these, a little bit more conservative coaches, then I like it for both games, honestly. These are both really low-scoring games. Might as well just sprinkle each one of them, a little bit, and you make money if one of them hits, right? They're both going to be plus money like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it at all. My only thing is you hit the touchback, you're at the 30, and you get a 3 and out. Then the guy's getting that ball, at like midfield or on the 40. Only having to go a little bit there. So that's the only thing I can even think of, really. Oh, Terrence was on that. We already knew Terrence would be betting that. We have Mike betting on that one. If you could, Turbo, drop where that is. If it's under like game specials, I'm sure everybody in here would like to know where that one is there. Let's take a look here. Starting Jay Kelly. Oh my God, bro. Oh, that's a brutal bench, my friend. That's a brutal bench. But we'll get to your question there, Mike. Jamal Williams, anytime touchdown at +115. I think if anyone's scoring one, it's probably him. It's tough. In a total this low, it's tough for me to want to bet anybody on a touchdown.
It's weird. At first, I kind of loved it, right? We saw what he did last year. We know how impressive a guy like Jamal Williams is in the red zone, one of the most efficient red zones in the league, dating back to last season. But then when you look at this team, they have so many guys, right? We know Derek Carr obviously loves to attack deep, right? With that stat I gave a couple weeks ago, with last year having more, 20+ yard touchdowns to Devontae Adams in one season than Aaron Rodgers ever did. So a guy like Olave for those long touchdowns becomes so appealing. And then now a guy like Shaheed, who's been running these deep routes, is really starting to form some chemistry with Carr. He turned to him for the game-winning play. That's another deep threat. And then Taysom Hill had 3 carries last week. We can never get rid of this guy. He's the ultimate touchdown vulture in the world. So at first I kind of loved it. And then I started thinking through all these possibilities. Michael Thomas, a consistent over the middle target. Juwan Johnson is like everyone, like the Saints coach loves this guy in the red zone. He had multiple 2 touchdown games last year. So at first I loved it, but the more I thought through all the weapons, I think I'm going to have to pass, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's a 39.5 total too. Like it's probably not expecting too many touchdowns in the game there. So maybe the alt unders, because I don't like too many alt overs in this one. So yeah. Sheldon bringing up the Cooper injury. Obviously Cooper is out for tonight. I know a lot of people are liking Donovan Peoples-Jones. I've seen a lot of people like him, obviously probably being the straight guy filling the role of Amari Cooper, at least in where he's running the routes. But I really liked Elijah Moore's involvement last week. They let him run the ball twice.
Yep.
They found him some targets. I think I will play him if I'm doing like a 2-game slate DK. If I'm doing like a DraftKings, that would be a spot I like to go. But I don't know if I want to play him. I don't know what his lines are. I just don't feel like I'm going to get too much value on him anymore, you know?
Yeah, no, it's tough because I've never really been on like the super high Elijah Moore's the best wide receiver in the league, like fantasy football train that a lot of guys have been on. But he did look good last week. Like you said, his usage was impressive out there. He's going to benefit from no Cooper. I don't know, like, how does he function as like a wide receiver 1 now with a little bit more attention on him? I guess technically Peoples-Jones will be that, but you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those situations where I don't know if I really want to attack this theme through the air, especially when I don't have much confidence in Deshaun Watson at this point still. I like this team on the ground a lot more. So I would look at it the way I always look at Elijah Moore. Give me 80 plus yards instead of 45. You know, he's the deep ball guy. He can make plays. He's shown to be explosive throughout his whole career. That's the one thing he does best. So get him the ball in space. I'd rather, depend on, some deep targets and a kind of a ceiling game rather than just that medium outcome game with a guy like him.
Beautiful. Turbo bringing up the Steelers Brown is plus 195 for punt. And that first one was obviously the Carolina game there. Joseph bringing up Najee Harris yards tonight.
How low is it? Because people hate him. It's got to be so low. Like, everyone hates him. And to me, that makes me like him a little bit. When everyone hates on a guy, and he's actually not as terrible as people are making out to be, especially his numbers through contact, they absolutely sabotaged him with a terrible offensive line. They made some upgrades. People thought that was suddenly going to make them good against the best defensive line in the league last week. It didn't. Now they get the second best defensive line in the league. Like, I don't see how it's going to get any better. So I like Najee, but probably not today. It's a tough matchup once again. And it's just hard. I don't really want to trust him, but I do think I could get to him in like a bounce back next week if maybe has a better matchup.
Yeah, and I'm not a Jalen Warren truther at all. Like I would rather see Najee getting the ball than him, right? And I would hope the coaching staff sees that as well. And obviously he's a viable guy out of the backfield as well, like that. Don, oh my God, dude. Don't bet that early game, if any. Dude, that's bringing up a baseball question. It's a gross game, bro. It's Cal Quantrill versus Singer, bro. I took Cal Quantrill under outs because I'm a degen and I hate him now, especially when he's on the road. So that is all I'll say. I will not allow you guys to hear any more about that garbage baseball game. That is making us be our early one there. We might have an actual Steelers fan in here. I'm sorry. We did not mean to stir you up too much on the Steelers.
Uh-oh. What did he say?
He said the Steelers offense sucks because of Matt Canada.
It's true. I agree with you. I didn't mean to see it as like my personal attack on the team. Matt Canada is actively sabotaging the team. But at the end of the day, it's not about what we think we should do with the players. It's what the coaches do with the players. And if he's going to keep being predictably bad, then let's keep taking advantage of it.
Perfect. And the last one, Stu. Still got 52 of you guys in here. Thank you guys so much for staying in through the questions here. Do you have any thoughts on Miles Sanders' reception props and or receiving yards props?
Yeah, last week he was the first guy off my card, the last guy off my card week 1. It was minus 143. I was going to do it, and then I just kind of laid off. I didn't love the juice, and I just thought I'd wait and see. And then he didn't really record any receptions in the first half, and then kind of came out hot in the second half. It kind of goes with my analysis of before. I mean, 3.8 yards per attempt, 5.5 air yards per attempt. That's check down city. So a guy like Miles Sanders does profile well for that. Obviously, he's not the traditional receiving back, but he did in his rookie season when he had this offensive coordinator that's now here with him now. So it does look like he's going to keep running routes out there. I do like it. It's just it's tough now that they bumped the number up 1, right? It's not 1.5 anymore. I believe it should be 2.5 plus money from what I was seeing. And that jump in receptions really does mean a lot for a low volume guy. So I do like it. I would, if gun to my head, I'm betting the over, but I don't know if I really trust him fully yet.
Good answer. Yeah, it's a good answer. I mean, you don't have to give a full answer on some of these. Like like I said, if we saw a game on a Sunday, right, where you have 12 games, and we saw a game with a 38.5 total, we're probably not looking at that game. It just happens to be these are the two games that are on today. So just be cautious. We're not running this Jacksonville KC game, right, where we can see shootout potential. We're not seeing those types of games tonight, right? So just make sure we temper our expectations on what this game is supposed to be here. Is Sheldon bringing up trying to be a Cardinals fan? Yeah, dude, that would be a little tougher there. So,
and I do want to say I just checked real quick too. He played 42 snaps last week, and he ran a route on only 19 of them. So the production was good. 6 targets is really good. A lot of them did come in the second half. So if you believe that they're going to be trailing and constantly having to force to throw, then I would take this bet. And I do tend to think that's going to be the game script. So I don't hate on it, but it is important to know that it's not like he's running out there like CMC routes, right? He's running only 19.
Awesome. Stu, we're at that time, man. Another one. We get close to that hour mark here. What do you got for the people? Will be a send-off here for them. We still got 50 of them in here. What do you got for the people?
Yeah, no, I'm really happy with my play today. I think this Bryce Young spot is kind of sneaky. I think a little bit under the radar, and I really do like that angle. So I appreciate all you guys tuning in. We rambled for like 25 minutes before the play, and we still had 70 people in here when we gave it out. So that's pretty dope that you guys stuck with us. You heard our rambling and our talking, and you stuck for the play. I know a lot of people just tune in, hit see the play, and get the fuck out. So we appreciate you guys hanging with us. I loved all the questions today, too. This felt like one of the most active shows we had in a while. I don't know about you, but I feel like we had some of our best analysis on these questions, not even on the props as well. I think it's important to talk through all these guys. So yeah, I really enjoyed the show today. I'm glad everyone popped out. We got the momentum going. Everything's been good so far. Let's keep it going today.
Yep. Heading into today, hoping for another primetime sweep. I think we swept the last 2 primetime shows, so hopefully we can keep that going. Knock on wood there. And again, on your way out, if you guys like the plays, like the content, hit that like button as always. It really does help us. And hopefully we can make you guys some more money. So thank you guys. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your Monday. Hopefully we can make you guys some more money tonight. So have a good one and best of luck tonight on this Monday Night Football set.